I text Luke.
All right, we'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity, the powerful video library. I don't know, are you guys, are these videos doing to you what they did to me?
It was a great video.
Right.
As I was through it, though, I was thinking through this. This is that guy's perspective of a man. So there's all these different perspectives of a man out there. So this is that guy's perspective.
Dale doesn't intentionally tease and taunt me. He just does it naturally.
Do you agree with that perspective, Dale?
Yeah, to an extent. The thing that the biggest perspective that I got out of it from this guy's is that he gets no recognition from his hard work. You're just expected to go work hard each and every day without much of a recognition until you die.
Okay. And that's the part that you agree with?
No, that's probably the part I don't agree with. So he must have had a just a different upbringing, different family life, or whatever else it may be. Because it's the people around you, if they appreciate you throughout your life, it's not going to be wait until at the end of it. And some people
Well,
just
what did he
thrive.
say at the end of his life? He dies, he works and does all this stuff. And at the end of that, what's going to happen? What was his perspective?
Like I said, I still have 47 seconds of the video to watch. I didn't completely finish the video.
Well, it was a
I'll
long
finish
one.
it. I'll
It was
finish
a
it.
long one, so I get like, man, you got a busy life. So like
I even
that's
sped it up to 1.25 speed.
so what he said is he said, and then she's just gonna go find another guy. And so it wasn't actually death. It was actually life. Like he pours his life into wife, children, he pours his life in and they use him and use him and use him until he's gone, and then they just replace him with someone else. See, Dale's never had that experience before in his life, or if he had had it, he didn't realize what was happening.
You're correct.
What do you mean by that, Mark? So I was sharing with Cheryl that I always love to have conversations with myself, because then there's at least, there's at least an intelligent, like, why don't people more curious? I don't know. Like, it's like, So Mark, have you had one of those? Oh yeah, I've had tons of those.
What happened?
You don't look like a black man.
Yeah, I am not. What do you say that?
No, Mark doesn't look like a black man.
Oh, yeah,
I
no,
thought
you
just
don't.
black men just had the experience. So it's interesting when Melissa shared this video, like she started crying. Why is that, Melissa?
The first time I saw it, it was just part of the music video. And it was like the first, like, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds. Hold on. And it was just like a reel part. And quick reel. And it just gave me like complete goosebumps because I was like, oh my word. So I looked up the whole song and I watched it, and I just I don't know, it gave me like a in some ways a deeper understanding. It's not really understanding if I'm not in it, but like a deeper perspective of what men go through that they can't talk about, that they can't experience with other people because they feel like they have to be this way or they have to go a certain way or whatever. And the thing is that nowadays, especially with men, they aren't taught to be men. They're taught to talk about their feelings and be all that and all that. But they also aren't taught to be hard workers either. And the man in the video that's talking, he's like, we go to work and we basically what dad says, like you either work for the rest of your life or you go to prison. Like it's just, to me, I don't know, like, I mean, yes, I was pregnant when I found it, so it definitely sent a lot of emotions in my body, and I was pregnant with a little boy, so that probably did a lot too. I didn't know it at the time, but yeah, I feel like I've listened to it. I don't know. Micaiah loves the song. Just, I'm pretty sure she has the whole thing memorized. Um, because um, it just gives a different perspective, and I really want to share it with other women, but so many people take it the wrong way, and I just don't know how
What
to
does
get them
that
to see
mean?
the way. It's a secret. Hold on. What?
What does that mean? Women
Like the way
take it
that
the wrong
Tim
way.
took it. Tim and Angela took it way out of context.
Help me. I don't know what that means. Help
Yeah,
me.
I'm curious too. Yeah.
Use your words.
They took it out of context, like basically men are complaining about, or yeah, the man is complaining about the fact that he has to be a worker. He's complaining, and he's not thankful or grateful that he has what he has or whatever. Like it just, that's basically, I mean,
I watched the video 5 times. I think every time I cried, every single time. If I watched it now, I'd cry now. My younger brother, he cried too.
Why
And
is
so,
that?
what's that?
Like what part of the video got
The
to you
whole
the
thing.
most?
The whole thing. The whole thing. I'm
I've
like,
seen
I
it at
am.
least, yeah, I've seen it at least 15 times. And I think I've cried at least once every single time during that whole song. The part that gets me the most, the main part that gets me, that just, Micaiah even said it the third time I listened to it. She goes, "Mommy, don't cry. It's okay. Don't cry." Is as a man, you learn to survive. They don't know what you are, or they don't know what you're worth till the day that you die, and then that's when they start crying. And it just, to me it's just, yeah, like I don't ever want my husband or my son to feel like they aren't they don't know their wife doesn't even know their own worth um
It's
until
okay.
they're
Her
gone.
father, it's okay. She's not going to include her father. It's okay. Don't worry about the father. He's fine. He's fine. You don't need to worry about him. He's good. Like, he'll
Well,
be.
that's why, like, to me, I don't have I don't think there was ever a time, like, I know how many times I went into your office growing up and like gave you back massages, or when we started our letters and things like that. But to me, I'm like, I don't think my father ever complained about working, like, ever. It wasn't like, he was too tired, he was, has done too much, anything like that. I can think of a specific person that comes to mind that just, that's all he does is complain about, "Oh, I'm so tired, I've done so much, I have a headache." And it just, to me, I'm like my husband's the same way. I don't think, I think in his the almost 7 years that we've been married, this month will be 7 years, I think I've only heard him talk about how tired or how he has a headache or anything like that once or twice, maybe. Other than that, it just, he's like, yeah, just what we do. Like, I don't have a
Interesting
choice.
because, go ahead.
Yeah, he's just, I don't have a choice. This is what we do.
So it's interesting. We did monthly events, and people came from all over the country to these events, and we were at Red Lobster, and I'll never forget it. We were sitting at a long table and a bunch of people, and we were talking, and Jason was in the factory, and he wanted to get a company and get out of the factory and have his own company and stuff like that. And I said something. I said, and they're sitting right next to each other, right across from the table. They didn't have any kids at the time, and I said, "Well, Melissa, honey, you know your husband doesn't like working in the factory, right?" And she's like, "Well, no." I'm like, "Honey, he doesn't like working in the factory." And she's like, "Well, I don't think that's true. I mean, he never complains." And he's sitting right there. And I'm like, really, sweetheart? You don't like, she didn't know her own husband. And she went ahead and she said, Jason, do you not like working in the factory? He's like, no. She says, but you never complain. He says, what good will that do?
No. And a lot of times that the factory, like up there, the pay's so good, so it's hard to try to something else when you know you're going to start off lower, but long term it more than likely could pay off. But you're sort of sucked into this vacuum that the pay's well compared to anything else around there. It's hard to sort of take the pay cut, start over, and build it back up to grow to that 1-2. It's too and good for Jason to do that, because most people take the easy route out and they just continue to do what they know instead of stretching themselves and try something else.
See, what's interesting is this is interesting.
Why is that interesting?
Listen to this. If you knew somebody that went ahead and was 27 years old, making well into the six-figure income, on track to make $460,000 a year, had $1 million in equity, 27 years old, and had 3 kids, and walked away from $460,000 a year and $1 million in equity. If you knew somebody like that, I mean, what would you do with that person?
Ask him why.
So it's like, yeah, ask him why that drive, but what drove him to leave
Tim
that.
said,
to-
ask him why.
Yeah, I heard Tim. Thank you, Tim. Yeah, Dale was saying the same thing. So if you guys ever find somebody like that, ask them why. And then don't listen like you normally listen. You analytics out there, do not listen. Don't listen with your head. You're not listening for head. You're listening for energy. This will make you a better husband. This will make you better understand women. If you go ahead and listen to energy, like what's the energy? I mean, think about that. 27 years old, on track to make $460,000 a year. You have $1 million in equity, and you just walk away from that. Who does something like that? Why would they do it? Like walking away from the factory? That's not easy. And you don't even have a product, and you don't even have money, and you don't even make money, and you know you're not going to make money for probably at least 6 to 12 months. Who does something like that?
Somebody that doesn't like the situation they're in that much that it's worth them taking the risk to do something else. So somebody that does that to me is they really don't enjoy the situation they're in. They don't enjoy the job they have, so they want to do
So
something
if you
else.
ever ask them, if you ever meet somebody like that, ask them and say, "Did you enjoy what you were doing?"
Did you
Or
enjoy what you were
did you
doing,
enjoy
Mark?
what you were doing?
Oh my gracious, I loved it. It was amazing.
So
Everything
how
I
come,
dreamed of.
I'd say it has to be somebody with a bigger vision.
Right? So loved it. I mean, it was a dream. I had 3 college degrees, finance, management, marketing. I was doing all. A lot of people have 1. They don't even do the 1. They're in a totally different field. And I loved all 3 of them. I loved the business. I mean, it was crazy how much fun I was having. It was crazy how much I enjoyed it. It was unbelievable.
That's interesting. It blows because it's not the norm. Somebody
No,
does that, and then if they have Elaine said it perfectly, a vision to do something bigger with now what they have, if they knew what their vision was, obviously you did, or you're on the path to, that you then had the finances to be able to pursue that vision stronger, because you can pursue your vision anyhow, but obviously you would you have felt you had the means to be more comfortable to pursue that vision instead of
I
being
didn't.
stressed
I didn't have
financially?
the. I didn't have the means to do it for sure.
You mean
So it's
beforehand or
interesting.
after?
What's that?
You mean before your salary went up, you didn't have the means to, or afterwards you didn't have the means to?
I didn't have the means to take the risk. I didn't have
Before,
the means to take the risk when I took the position out of college. It was 100% straight commission. I didn't have the means to do that. I didn't have the means to go ahead and leave the $460,000 a year job. I didn't have the means to do that. I did not have the means to do any of that. See, it's interesting. I'm 60 years old and I realized something this last week that was humbling, that I have been clueless for 60 years. I have missed maybe the most important question.
What's that, Mark?
Like, what do you want people to think of you?
I was thinking I watched a video or something that's whether good or bad thing. I'd have to, or I found something that I thought I remember, or reading something that you had mentioned. Too many people are always concerned about what people think of you. And it doesn't really, they focus on that too much where they shouldn't have. So now I'm sort of surprised. Well, I guess continue with your thought of just this last week, you realize of what people think of you, good
So
or
go
bad.
ahead and write email me and email me with what it is that you want people to think of you. And for you analytics out there, the ones with the high ego, low self-confidence, you know who you are. Actually, you don't. Sorry, you don't know who you are. You don't think you have high ego. You don't think you have low confidence, but you do. You have high ego, low confidence. And so you need to understand everything before you do anything. So you want to understand why. Like, why does Mark want me to do this? I'm not going to do this unless. And if you're a Christian, my heart just goes out to you and that type of, in how you think. Why is that, Mark? Thanks for asking and participating. Because the Bible says that without faith, it's impossible to please God. And so you as an analytic, you as high ego, you want to understand everything before you do anything. And so you can't be everything you were created to be. You'll never be able to do that. If you have to understand everything before you do anything. And you might be, that's not me, Mark. There was once in my 20, 30 years that I didn't understand and I did something once. If you can count how many times you're doing it, just saying, this is what I'm talking about.
So do I feel in that, do I feel in that category? Am I in that category?
What do you think?
I'm asking you.
I get that. So by asking, it probably reveals the answer, right?
Yeah,
So why did you ask the question?
I just wanted your perspective
Why is that?
because I care what you think,
Why is that?
because it appears you're knowledgeable in your field,
And which field is that?
personality and knowing people.
Interesting. Luke Boersma.
Yep.
Got anything?
I mean, low confidence.
Did you watch the video?
Last week I did, yeah.
You and your three brothers need to watch this video
Okay.
and then share your thoughts with me after you watch the video.
Okay.
Because there's a perception that you and your three brothers have, the four of you have. And this perception is hurting all four of you. What perception's that, Mark? Thanks for asking. I always love the podcast where there's really smart and engaged people
Well, I
on
was
it.
gonna say, is it their ego? Is it because they're big, strong men?
I'm not going to disagree with you.
I
But
have
it's their perspective on men and women. Their perspective on men and women. So yeah,
What's their
Melissa,
perspective on men and women? It is a recorded podcast.
right. I'm thinking, like,
Okay.
Luke, can you help me out or you want me to give it a shot? Do you want to get on video or have you found the one so you don't need to? Or you can't use AI to enhance?
I can get on video eventually.
So-
I would like to hear your perspective though on what we're missing.
So you think you're a great catch?
That's what I thought. I don't really think that anymore.
Why not?
Low confidence.
Okay. So it's interesting. It was just so intriguing. Like, this is funniest story. I think it's a funny story. Like I'm 19 years old and I'm walking in the backyard of my future father-in-law and mother-in-law. And I'm walking in the backyard and my future father-in-law, so we were engaged, my wife and I, my future father-in-law and I are walking and he goes and says, you know, Rosalie, his wife, she and I were talking and we were surprised that Rosanna got someone of your caliber. And I was like, what? like, like what? Like I'm thinking, what? Like, are you an idiot? Like, what are you? What? Like, one, what dad would ever say that about his daughter? Two is, do you not understand? You don't understand her. You don't get her. Like, I'm like, I was stunned. I was shocked. I was like I was like stunned. I was shocked. I was like, you gotta be kidding. Like, I can't believe this. It's just so awesome. Like, wow. Like, wow.
You
But
right hook
weird.
him right there and then.
What's that?
Stood up for your future wife. You just right hooked him,
Right? I'm like, I don't even know how to respond. And it's
ripped his
weird.
ear off.
It's like weird. I didn't realize until I probably was, I think it was 52 on why I was such a great catch back then.
And why do you think so?
Well, I saw a lot of the young guys out there now.
Wow, wow, wow. We're
Well,
pretty
that's-
great.
Well, but you didn't know now. So why back then did you still think you're a catch compared to everybody else?
I didn't think it back then.
Well, you
Back
said,
then,
What
at
did
50.
you discover? Was it the
Oh.
Firebird?
well, yeah, I mean, like I realized when I started looking at these guys in their 20s and 30s, and then I started thinking, hey, where was I at in my 20s and 30s? I'm like, now I understand.
Yeah, but like a loaf of bread back then was like 5 cents.
Right.
What
And
does
we
that
were
have to do
earning
with it?
7 cents. Like this, the young guys today just make me smile. I'm not saying they remind me of when I was 3 or 4 years old. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the young guys today, I just feel bad for women. I just do. I just like these poor women, they don't have a lot to choose from, honestly.
Do you think the older generation, when you were their age, said the same thing about you?
That's exactly what the young guys say. That's what I'm talking about. Like they go ahead and rationalize and say, "Oh, it's the same thing," and it's okay because they're young,
But
you
it's
know.
but it's true. Is there not truth in that? That even when I was a younger generation, I remember my parents saying, "Oh, this," and then their parents said the same thing about them. So there is truth behind that, whether we want to agree with it or not. There's truth. Each generation feels their generation is better than the previous or the upcoming generation.
Yeah, like it's cute. I I like I like when young guys their ego kicks in and they think they're smart. They think they've observed things. And they're
So you're
confident.
saying, so you're saying there's no truth in that?
See, one thing Dale, he's new to the podcast. One thing Dale doesn't recognize is that I'm a pretty direct guy. He doesn't realize that. He doesn't understand communications and how I communicate.
You
I
gotta ask
understand
him
your-
yes or no questions. If he answers in a different way, make sure he gets back to it.
Seems like
And
a
so-
politician.
I mean, I think somebody who's looking for 100% of anything is kind of stupid, honestly.
Well,
I mean, they're
that's
just
you.
stupid. They're just the poor souls. I just feel bad. I just like they can't see spectrum. They can't see spectrum. They don't understand progressional degeneration. I mean, I understood that when I was 15 years old. Like, what are they teaching these young men? Like these poor young guys. But in the Amish world, so much of the identity is how much money you make. If you make a lot of money in the Amish as a man, so much of your identity in the Amish as a young man is how much money you make. And the factories bump up the identity. Like, anyways, we're going to go into the next one. And if you think this one was good, the next one's even going to be better on passions. And so this, I don't know if we're going to do a part 2 on this. There is so much in, like, maybe we ought to do a part 2 and go through like every line and say, Mark, like he says something in the song, he sings something. And then Mark, what do you think about that? And then the next thing he says, and you think about that. The next thing you say, you think about that. And you break that bad boy down into a whole bunch of elements. And it's like, holy cow, there is so much in that song. There is so much in that song that people aren't getting. So always remember, and then I don't know that we'll do part 2. We'll come back, swing back around and pick it up. This one here for next week. Oh, and then this one here, are you a sheepdog wolf or are you sheep wolf or sheepdog? That's a amazing one too. So we got some great ones. We'll swing back around and I can't wait for the next series that's going on. Always remember we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.